Hey guys, this is Gary. Wanted to do a video on how to get started in real estate investing. I know a lot of you guys out there might have like $1,000 or $2,000 in your bank account and or less perhaps, and that's going to be a very hard position to really do any investing. The average home, just off the top of my head, is probably about $250,000 in the United States. And what I did personally is I looked at the lowest housing costs I could get anywhere in the United States. So I did a search on what were the best real estate markets in the United States. And then I ended up moving to Chicagoland and finding a house for $25,000 in a D class neighborhood, which means it's a neighborhood that has potentially crime, burglaries, gun shootings, car thefts, schools that are rated 1 out of 10, and then really honing down on it block to block by actually door knocking the neighborhood and saying, hey, look, I'm looking to buy the house across the street. What do you think about this neighborhood? Seeing how friendly the people are, getting to know the people and the environment, using an app to check the crime in the neighborhood, and getting a sense of if that was something that I would be willing to get into. Overall, I would say it's worked out for me, but even $25,000 might be something that's not in your budget. So, the thing that I did was I got a real estate license. I was in California, and the first house that I helped sell in person earned me about a $20,000 commission check. That's because the houses there go for about $600 to $800,000. Now, you again might not be in that kind of market. Let's say your average home is $250,000 and your commission checks like $5,000 to $7,000. Well, that's not too bad if you can represent a buyer to purchase a house. And if you're 19 years old and you're thinking, well, who's going to trust me? I would say um, getting representing a buyer, finding a buyer is still like a needle in a haystack. You might have 100 people go through your open house before you get that one person that resonates with you and says, hey, I trust you. I remember when I was young and I want to give you a chance. You seem like you're well dressed, professional. You've got this energy. You know what I mean? You're like energetic and motivated, and I want to have you help me represent me to help me buy my house. And there's gonna be, although maybe a young, computer science, computer engineer or something that comes in and says, "Hey, look, you're a young guy. I like you, or you're a young lady. I like you, and let's go house hunting together. I like you to represent me, and you seem like you got your act together, and you're here on a Saturday, you're here on a Sunday afternoon after all, working the open house." And how many people want to work on the weekends? A lot of people just want to stay at home and be lazy watching TV or playing video games. So I would say personally that's probably one of the easier easier ways to get in. I've seen people out there doing wholesaling. I think that's pretty tough work. They might do door knocking, cold calling, and all the sorts of things that real estate agents do. But I can say that I'll be honest and just say, like, I don't know a whole lot about it. I had a wholesaler try and sell me properties, but they just seem to be in such much worse condition than what I would like to get. And so my strategy overall, or just at the end of the day, for me, it's always been buying houses off of the MLS, off the multiple listing service, and using an agent to represent me. And I just watched a video on YouTube. There's a guy out of Fresno, California. He's purchased over 200 rental properties, and he's bought all of his properties on the MLS as well. There's some people that have a hit and miss experience with buying off auction. And so generally, just I guess what I'm saying is with the wholesaling thing, um, if that's something that you want to try, it's worked for some people. It really has, and it's worth an avenue taking a look at. Um, Another one that I've heard is doing a 3.5% down FHA loan. So if you have a good job, let's say you're making 50,000 a year for the last 2 years, you might qualify to get a loan, And let's say you're buying a $250,000 house at 3.5% down, that's probably like with closing costs, let's say 12 to $15,000. Now, if you're earning 4,000 to 5,000 a month, what 50,000, what's that? Like probably about 4,000 a month, and you save, let's say 1,000, $1,500 a month, then over a 6 month period, probably like a year period, I don't know. But basically, if you save your money and you can do the calculations for yourself, how long it'll take you to save up $15,000, you can put that down payment for a house that will be worth about $250,000. And if you can find something like a duplex, threeplex, fourplex, where you can live in one unit and then rent out the other units, that's one way. Or you live in one room and you rent out the other rooms, that could be another way to generate you some side, cash flow. And that'll help at least get you started. And getting started is really, really the most important first step. Because once you get yourself started, then you can kind of see, okay, well, what's my next step, or is this something I really want to do? And once you get your room for rent, or you get your extra property for rent, then you can try different things. Like, do you want to do Airbnb? Do you want to and that's how I started Airbnb. So you can do Airbnb, or do you want to do a traditional rental? And where else did I want to go with that? I guess like those would be more common things to get started with. And I mean, the world of real estate is just very broad. So there's people who are doing like investing in notes. Another thing is, if you wanted to get licensed, and if you want to look that up, like investing in notes, that would be like basically being like the bank, where you buy like the note that the bank would hold, and you take the interest rates, and you collect, kind of like you're collecting what the bank would collect, that monthly mortgage amount. Another way is you could start on the being like a loan officer, or a loan officer assistant, or you could shadow somebody at open house. Go to open houses and say, hey, I'm interested in your business. um, I'd like to know more about being a real estate agent. Can I trade numbers with you? Can I chat with you? Can I talk to you when if they're not as busy? Um, or just observe and say, hey, can I watch for the day? Just kind of observe and just pick your brain, ask a few questions. And realtors are everywhere. You could go on Zillow and you could literally just dial them as you look at some properties online in your neighborhood. And you could just call them up and ask them and say, hey, I'm interested